Hello and welcome to another brand new edition of the Triple Trio. It's a busy week of racing all around the world, especially in Australia, racing on Saturday at Sha Tin. Lots to talk about with the best form analyst in the business. That's this guy, Clint Hutchison, and also the Hall of Fame jockey in Shane Dye. Hutch, welcome.
Thank you, Richo. It's been a good week. We've had a good weekend. We backed it up with a nice performance for our subs on Wednesday, and we look forward to Saturday racing this weekend at Sha Tin, where there's some nice horses going around.
Golden Boy, it's always a special week in Australia this week, and there's been Racing Breeders' Cup on the weekend as well. There's been some great racing.
It's a fantastic week of racing, and it lived up to it too. It was exciting. I had a winning day Sunday, Hong Kong, but I had a losing day, Melbourne Cup day, but responded Wednesday night and yesterday to winning day, so that was all right. Melbourne Cup was very hard that day. I know you could find the Melbourne Cup winner, but every other race it was near impossible.
Well, there was 50-1 pops going left, right and centre. Well, let's have a look at the highlights from last week.
In the fifth event, Happy Together, reasonably long price favourite, I have on top.
He's a length clear over Beautyverse, and then came Superb Boy. Happy Together, 3/4 over Beautyverse, and Happy Together. Happy Together has beaten home Beautyverse.
Stromberg Banner's trialled extremely well, Clint. He's going really good. He'll go forward. He's the class runner.
Leader is Stromberg Banner, green and white Beauty Fit. Leader still Stromberg Banner, green and white driving at him now. The pair of them come to the post. Stromberg Banner, maybe your nose. It's Master Tornado leading over Strongest Boy. Gallant Hero weaving a passage late. It is still Strongest Boy over Gallant Hero. Gallant Hero's going to get him, and get him easily.
Yeah, so what a weekend it was. There's just a couple of the highlights from the weekend. A huge show coming up. We're going to burst out of the gates with all the latest news and who's been making headlines. And, of course, we've got a very special guest, star power. Luke Ferraris is going well at the moment.
He's going fantastic. Yeah, a young lad that, of course, his father trained in Hong Kong, grew up there, and we had him on once last year and we had a great chat with him. But Shane, you've always been a big rap, and he's had a good season again. He's getting it done on horses that really aren't in the market, and he keeps riding really well.
Yeah, you said last year he was way ahead of expectations money-wise per ride. I don't keep those figures, you do, Clint, but he doesn't get many chances. I don't know what's going on, but he keeps battling away, and as soon as he gets some stable to pick him up and run with him for a while, I'm sure he'll have more winners.
Yeah, I would have thought so, of course. So he'll be our star power guest. Of course, the most treasured trophy in world sport is the Idol. We'll have votes towards that as well, and we'll also have Sweet in Defeat file. But first, let's burst out of the gates. And we burst out of the gates firstly with the VRC Derby, and James McDonald, after a brilliant win, the Romantic Warrior in the Cox Plate, where he put the head down of the Hong Kong champ, he does the same again with Riff Rocket.
It was an exciting race, the Derby, and I think the first three past the post all got fantastic rides. Johnny Allen on Sunsets, Apulia for Mark Zara, and yeah, J-Mac found a great spot, and live I thought he'd won a bit easier than he had, but Shane, he delivered on the day, and it was another good ride from J-Mac.
Yes, both of them are riding well, and they've won all the big races, Mark Zara and him. Mark Zara's riding at the crest of a wave. He's flying. He's so beautiful through a race at present. I'm going to ask you a question, Richo. Why didn't the second horse win then?
As in, why on the finish, on the line, you mean?
No, why didn't he win the race?
Well, he wasn't fast enough. The other horse beat him.
No.
Why?
Because Mark Zara didn't break the rules and hit him 4 times more like he did without a fight at the 300 to 400 metres.
Yeah.
If he had off, he would have won the race. And then what are we talking about after the race? We're talking about the winner, not the second horse, Riff Rafter, who actually won the race.
But once again, Shane, how much do you quantify the level of improvement distance-wise for an extra strike of the Persuader? Is it 1 centimetre or 1 metre?
But if you watch that race and you can't tell if he had hit him from the 300 to the 400 where he had the opportunity like he did without a fight, If you don't understand he wouldn't have won that race, you don't know racing. It's as simple as that. That horse there wins for sure. You only got to watch him the last 50 metres, and he would have got to the other horse sooner, and he wins. So Mark Zahra didn't break the rules in that race, and he got beat. But if he had broken the rules, he would have won for sure. So I think in Australian racing, they need something set up where the rules that everyone knows, where the right horse wins the race through not breaking rules. And that there and the Caulfield Cup are two classic examples of what I've been talking about.
Yep, they certainly are great examples, and we understand the rules, but the rules aren't being policed because they can't quantify the actual level of improvement.
Yeah.
That's the frustration, isn't it?
It's very subjective, it is. And that's why I say get rid of the rule.
Well
but
said.
That's another question. See,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that, but if you want to have that, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're singing from the same hymn book, Golden. There's no doubting that. And the ladies' purse, this was an impressive win.
It was an impressive win, and yeah, we marked the eventual winner a lot shorter than it was. Unfortunately, we were on Super Sunny Sing, and a couple of them just couldn't get into it, but Encountered went off at a big price.
Did this surprise you?
No, we marked it $5, I think, on the show, and it started at 12. So hopefully a few people followed our market and backed the winner. That horse is absolutely flying, Shane. For whatever clicked after the Derby at the end of last season, I'm not sure what it was, but he has clicked into gear, and he's sort of now putting himself into the picture of the internationals. Not sure which race they're going to go to, but he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Remember the race last season where he won by about 8 lengths, Clint?
Yeah.
And it was just phenomenal. That then said he was a good horse. He was disappointing first up, but he got a really bad ride, and I pointed it out on the show. It was one of the slaughters. But since then, his 2 runs since have been very, very good, and he's going to be in the international races. The other horse just didn't finish the race off, Super Sunny Sing, but it was an on-pace track that there last Sunday and a leader's track, and it was quite a big advantage.
I'm sort of jury out now with him. I don't know. Like, I had his pick figure at 1,800 metres. They're going to have to come back to 1,600. I think maybe against those better horses, that's more in his wheelhouse, I should say. So, I don't know. I'd prefer he goes back, but I think the reason why Christo put him in that race, Richo, so he can get his rating up, and then he effectively might have got another win, but I'm still a big fan of the horse, but I think he's more of a miler type.
The reason I asked you about whether or not Encountered surprised you is because of the market. The market had no support for him.
I'm not sure why.
Why?
Shane, I don't know. He was very good second up, like you said, or first up.
Well, you're happy with the others?
Yep.
And he was an on-pace runner too. He was always going to be running third fence. That's where I had him. He just looked like that. And it was a big on-pace track, that, Clint, as you would know.
What was interesting about the race, though, Richard, just quickly getting back to it, a lot of the horses that were supported all get back. And don't know what happened there, but obviously the bigger players got the map wrong. Yeah,
in Karis we trust, because Karis Teaton's in good form with the treble.
Brilliant form. He's clocking along quite nicely. This was a fantastic ride, I thought, on Global Harmony, which was a good result for us as well. He put him a lot closer from a good barrier, but he peeled into the 3 wide line at the right time, made all the right moves. He's done all the work on this horse, Shane, and he delivered an absolute peach, I thought, on the day.
Well, he was trialling very well, wasn't he? And I think he missed that run through the meeting being cancelled, if I remember correctly. But his trials were all good, and he's a nice horse, you know. He's going to go further, go up in the ratings.
That will be a good form race, Richo. Global Harmony's race for sure.
Okay, so well done to Karis, and also a double-double for Pierre.
Pierre is absolutely flying. Like, I'm starting to think now, Shane, he might be a big chance in the championship. I had this horse marked triple figures. I didn't give him any chance at all. Had to sort of go a long way back to get his better runs, but he doesn't mind doing this, Pierre, when his horses are right, sending them forward, saying, catch me if you can, and like, he runs them regularly, Shane, but they seemingly are holding their form well enough, and he knows the system in and out up there.
Well, what was interesting about that horse, Clint, was he was running over 1,200 leading and stopping, and he put him on the dirt, I think it was over 1,650, and of course he led and stopped. But it made him a bit stronger through the run, and he come back to 1,200, and he ran that out then, which he wasn't doing before the dirt run. So it was a good piece of training to do it and think to do it.
I've got to ask you a question on that. So now you bring up a gut buster quite often. So we've got a horse here who's a sprinter, who's run over a mile. Now, why isn't that a gut buster?
No, it's not. Can I tell you a trick here?
Please.
Okay. So back in my day when I was riding for John Sires, listen to this one. I was riding a horse for him and it was running thirds all the time. And it wasn't strong enough. And I said, this needs, if it was in Australia, 5 months in the paddock and he's going to come back in a nice race, a nice horse. So what he did was 2 weeks after I told him that, he ran him in a 1650 dirt. And he said, this will toughen him up a bit. He may not win today, but he'll be right for his next run after that. So we ran him on the 1650. He didn't win, didn't run anywhere, I don't think. And then he ran him 2 weeks after that in a 1400, which he wanted, on the grass, and he won. And it taught me that the dirt can toughen a horse up, and it's not a gut buster.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because that fine line, isn't it, between... Because we've seen, and you've shown so many examples of horses, so-called gut busters, and it comes down to each individual animal. Some of them trampoline off it.
You see a lot in Hong Kong.
That's true.
They go very hard, and you think in Australia you'd say that was a gut buster. They come out often, Shane, in Hong Kong and will win their next run, and it hasn't impacted them all. And then maybe if they fail, you can say, okay, that last run was hard. But yeah, it's an interesting philosophy because I think it's overplayed a lot. I think there are gut busters, but a lot of the time they're overplayed, and it's just the circumstances of a fast race.
And the individual athlete.
Clint, can I just give an example of that? Now, you go out on the drink one night and you may not recover the next day. But Richo goes out on the drink one night and he gets up as good as gold and he's all happy.
He always wakes up like that.
Everyone's different. Everyone's different.
Hey, that's a great analogy. I'm with you there, Shane.
Sorry, I'm annoyingly happy. It drives everyone crazy, I know. Hey, the Hong Kong Golf Open's on. So if the Hong Kong Golf Open's on and you're an Australian golfer, what do? Well, if you're an Aussie golfer, you go to the races, of course.
Yes.
Straight away. If you're Cam Smith, damn straight you do. And if you're Wade Ormsby as well.
Yeah, a little bit of cross-promotion there during the week. It was great to see the lads. I mean, we've seen them there over the years around this time of year. There's Zach Purton, of course, with Cam. He likes his races. He was at the Valley earlier in the spring, I think, and... yeah, he does like the races, so good on him. I think he's got a small share in a couple, actually, Shane, with Chris Waller. So we might have another sort of promoter of the sport.
Oh, that's good, and we absolutely
Could he afford to have a share in a horse?
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Didn't get much from Liv, was it?
No, he's struggling. The poor bloke, he's down on his luck.
I know one thing, Shane. He said he apparently watched this last week, and he said, "Tell Shane I'm not playing golf with him after the Daily story."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, very fair point. Hey, what do we know about this Harry Bentley story? Not a lot of detail at the moment.
No, not a lot of detail. I mean, we have to wait. I think on next Monday, they're going to announce some of the details. But of course, he's missed a few meetings with this inquiry going on. So it's a case of sort of sit back and stand by and really nothing to report. We don't know the details.
Okay, so we'll keep across that and finger on the pulse, and eventually it'll all come out. Quick look at the leaderboard in regards to both jockeys and trainers, because you've touched on it with Pierre, who's going so well. So Zach leads now only by 2 on Hewitt.
Yeah, I would imagine Zach will be disappointed that he's only a couple clear with Bowman coming back. He would have wanted to be high 20s. He's ridden, a number of favourites. And for whatever reason, I think he's had an extraordinary amount of seconds and he's given a lot of them their chances.
27 seconds.
Yeah, but the bottom line is he hasn't put a margin on them. So, Hugh was riding really well. I'm expecting him to come back in form, and it won't be long before Vincent will be back as well, and he was riding really well.
So Pierre there with 16 over Danny Schum at the moment.
Do you want to know the big thing with the jockeys, Richo?
Talk to me.
Okay. So 2 years ago, Zach was up here and the rest were down here. The last 2 years, these boys riding in Hong Kong have improved a lot.
Yeah.
And the gap is now like that. That's the difference. They are not riding bad. They're cutting corners and they're saving ground. And the biggest thing with Zach is he puts them in the right spot up there, but he uses energy to do it. And all of a sudden, these other jocks are sitting back on the fence in a lot of races. And when it's not a biased track, a leader's track like last week, you go and have a look at how many winners are coming from back on the fence and saving ground. There are a stack of them. Now, 3 years ago, they weren't doing that, the jocks. They were at the half mile circling them, and Zach's up there with the run of the race, and he wins. That's not happening now because these other horses are coming from back and they're saving ground, and the jockeys are riding so well now, and the gap has closed between Zach and the rest of the jockeys.
Well, and a good example of that.
Difference.
A high tide rises all boats.
Well, and a good example of that was probably Wednesday. I think Shane might be touching on this later with Gallant Hero. Like Zach rides a very good chance in Strongest Boy. Can't ride them all. Gallant Hero runs. Abdullah gets on it. He gets there by a narrow margin, but that's the game. It's a game of inches.
It certainly is. So, well, the quality is certainly all rising, isn't it? Sweet in defeat.
They're off, and Sugar missed the start by 4 lengths. Then Dublin Star, Sugar Fast Buck, smart leader. Oversubscribed, lunges at the post, missed. Sugar, that's a sweet win for Alfie Chan.
Our Black Booker segment here on the Triple Trio is called the Sweet in Defeat.
Do you need my pen, Richo? Do you need, or you got your own pen?
Got my pen.
Let me get you. You know what? I'm going to get you a nice pen when I go to Hong Kong. A little Mont Blanc or something like that.
Oh,
I reckon you'd just put the nice finishing touch.
Oh, thank you, my friend.
Look, there were some nice runs. We were on Meep. Unfortunately, Drew Gate won. He was in there a long time. He missed. He was a bit slow into stride, and then after that happened, you know, he was caught behind a wall of horses, which had nothing to do with Zach. It was just the way the race unfolded. But if he could have jumped better, you know, after not standing, because I think there was a horse withdrawn in it, he would have gone very close. Great run. CP Brave, interesting as well. Covered ground, back in the field, ran on really well. And the horse we're going to take a look at is Sweet Brian. Now, this is out of the gates. Have a look. He cops a bump there from the inside. He loses his balance for a few strides there, Lyle Hewitson. Now he drives him forward, Shane. You'll see him, he goes, I would have loved to have seen him continue to go on. He was quite happy to sort of almost, you can see him digging along there, and the eventual winner's in front, but he wants to get cover. And I thought there was opportunity at this stage of the race to go and sit outside the leader. He gives away a length there and he can't quite get it back. And he ends up being beaten about 0.3 or 0.4 of a length. So look, Sweetbriar's ready to win. He copped the bump. He ended up a spot further back. I thought it was a very good run in defeat, and he's ready to win, and he can run at either track as well. What do you think,
His
Shane?
first up run was really good too, Clint. So he's had 2 placings in both of them. And what you got to remember with him is he doesn't normally trial very well on the dirt. So forget his dirt trials. He'll still come out and run well.
You can see him. I mean, just the fact that he ended up having to go back, they haven't gone. I mean, I thought the tempo was okay. It was good without being strong. For me, didn't really have to use it because after giving him a niggle early, he was almost there, backed out of it, and you can see how close he is at the finish. I mean, it's just that once again, it's a game of fine margins. If they go a little bit quicker, he's probably in a good spot. But in retrospect, good run. He's ready to win another one.
A bit of a grinder, wasn't he, too?
Yep.
So many times during that race, you think he's going to run 4th, and he just keeps whacking away. So if he had been just outside the speed, maybe that's the perfect spot for him. So 3 jump into the Sid file. Jockeys, time for you to take note.
The end across, answering the urgings of Shane Dye. Mannerism coming at him. Mannerism has got it. Daring tactics by Shane Dye. He's got Octagonal in full flight on the corner. Bold tactics by Shane Dye are going to pay off, and he pinches the Chipping Norton.
So it's genius or slaughter with the golden boy in RS Dye, and of course all the jockeys are battling for racing's greatest individual honour, that is the Idol. Who caught your eye from a positive point of view?
This was a really good ride from Karis Teton on a Fortune Warrior. Now, he keeps persevering forward. Now, why it's such a good ride, and it doesn't look a really good ride, was the start before he come out, tried to go forward, and then he took a sit when he couldn't clear them 3 wide. And this horse kept coming in the straight that day, and he ran a really good 5th or 6th. Today, in this race, he did different. He said, well, I can't win doing what I did last time, so let's press on. Now, he pressed on and really pressed on, and that's what won in the race. If he had did what he did last time and sat 3 wide, 4th or 5th, he wouldn't have won this. There's no way he would have won. The other horse would have run over top of him. So I thought he showed initiative. He was in a no-win situation from the gate. He had to keep going, and this horse was very well back from 19s to 7. And why that was every pro computer team in the world backed him. Outside gate, there was only 2 legit leaders in the race, him and Sergeant Pepper, and the pros liked him because of that. And he was a big firmer. Now, this horse was a really good ride. He's back 3 wide, and I know you're going to say 3 wide, but he did something I've been saying. Don't circle them, give them a chance, save energy. You watch here. He doesn't come round. He doesn't push him. He's just saving energy. He's one off the fence, and he could have gone round them, but he keeps them balanced, right? And he just comes out here, and he's done no work the whole race, this horse, so he's got to quicken up because he's got ability. And he quickens up like anything here. You can come from back at Happy Valley and win. And that was extremely good ride. Even though he was 3 deep early, he saved the energy, which I've been telling these boys, from the half mile to the 600, and that's what won the race. What did you think, Clint?
Yeah, it's a key part of it.
I think that's the beauty of racing, Shane. I mean, I thought the second half was great like you, but I thought the first half, I didn't like it at all. I mean, he conceded a lot of ground to be in he kept coming back looking to get in, and he ended up in a position where he could have been midfield, probably in a similar position. So
maybe he doesn't have that acceleration there.
Correct. So it's a 6 of 1, half a dozen. But I would have liked to have seen him, not concede ground through those first 300 or 400 metres. I understand that he had a good finishing burst. Good second half. For me, the first half was worse than moderate.
Okay.
Interesting assessment.
But, that's the great thing about racing. Shane sees it one way, I see it another. And
so we plug in some votes, and Shane will reveal his votes, and then we need to dwell on the fact that I do see a -1, Shane, that you need to explain why.
Well, Harris had a good 2 days. He rode 4 winners, and I thought Fortune Warrior's run was very good. And I looked at the points table, and he's not that high, and he's actually riding pretty well. So I gave him 3. I gave 2 to Jerry. I thought that was a good ride. He can go up. And Brendan, he's only ridden 5 winners, but he's up the list. 3 weeks ago, we said he wasn't riding very well, but since then, he must have listened to the show, and he's starting to think in races. And he's really thinking this was such a bad ride. And I've been giving this kid a rap. Now, he's got gate 3. Watch here. Like, all he has to do is go to the fence here, and it wins. But, of course, I don't know. Go and watch Ryan Moore ride horses. As soon as he jumps, he wants the fence every race.
Why doesn't he go to the fence?
What we have to preface this with as well, it was a race without much speed. Eventual leader wins, mind you.
Yeah.
Master Hero was the clear leader. He's drawn low, and there was very little intent, Shane, to take it up. I couldn't understand it.
All he had to do was lead on the fence, and this horse wins. He just wins. And even if he's third on the fence, he still wins. So if you want to go to the next level, you cannot do that, and I'm going to penalise you a point because of it, because you're riding really well. But you cannot do that. Go to the fence. I don't care who you're watching, who stays off the fence. The fence is the best place to be, and you're on a leader. Do it. This horse would have won for sure. There's no risk about that.
Can I ask, was he riding to instructions? Surely not.
If he was, I'll penalise him another 5 points. Forget instructions. Forget Tony. Right? Stay out.
No,
it's not going to win your races.
Tony would have said been more than happy and expected him to lead, I would imagine. I'm not sure.
I would think so.
Yeah,
I would have think Tony would have given him a pay. Tony was an outstanding jockey. There's no risk about that. And he likes them leading. So he just had a brain snap, and he tried to be a little bit careful early, and before he knew it, from gate 3, should never have come out 4 wide after they jumped. He should have just gone straight to the fence.
That was
I've got to penalise you a point for that. I was very disappointed.
I reckon you're pretty generous. You could have given him -2 for that. And it was
You've been kind.
Clint, he did ride 3 winners over the 2 days, and he's rating horses really well, and he's way up on the premiership, and he's going good. But if you're going to do that, you're not going to go to the next level.
Fair
and
call.
You could go to the next level. So just think about it, go and watch it again, and don't ever do that again, please.
So Abdullah and Teton significant movers, but unfortunately a little correction, a little one voter comes off.
I think Shane's well within his rights.
Yeah, it's fair and it's balanced. Let's talk global racing. Let's talk world racing, and the Whirlpool is celebrating an unbelievable year as suddenly it's growing, and the acceptance around the world from all the jurisdictions is like, please come with us, Whirlpool. And we see the results growing year on year, 24%. The record number of races from 8 countries, the single race turnover record set by the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes at Royal Ascot, and then of course, the Cox Plate was absolutely breathtaking from a Whirlpool point of view, helped by the champ in Romantic Warrior. So there's a lot to celebrate, and this is something that's only going to grow. There was racing in America, the unofficial World Championships in the Breeders' Cup. I mean, it's tough for some of the jurisdictions to get representation there, but we get the very best jockeys there, Shane, and Your man and our man, Ryan Moore, just showed why he is so good on August Road Inn.
This was unbelievable ride. Now, he wasn't meant to ride the horse like this. You'll see him there back on the fence. He didn't follow instructions in the race. I know that for a fact. And he won the race. The horse didn't win the race. He won the race. He loves the fence, Ryan. Remember Maurice Clint?
Yeah.
In the Hong Kong Cup, he was 20 lengths last and he was $1.70 and never left the fence where everyone else would have circled them. Ryan says to me, just give me the fence every day and I'll stay there. And this is what won the race. This was unbelievable. He gambled, right? And it paid off. Look here, he just got to run straight up there, but he was never looking to come out. You never see him turn his head once, and he got the perfect run, and that's what won the race. If he had followed instructions, he wouldn't have won the race, but he went against instructions, and it won him the race, and this is why he's the best jockey in the world.
And this is like an incredibly well-bred horse. I mean, he, from a breeding point of view, is one of a generation, so we won't see him again, I'm sure, Augusta, and there's nothing for him that can earn the money that he can earn now.
Well, he's had a fabulous year, and, from early on in the year, there was a couple of bumps in the road.
Yeah, there was.
But he ended the campaign.
There was two of him. There was two of him.
Well, he struck that wet track,
yeah.
And then in the next race, as soon as he was gone through whatever reason, Ryan just pulled him straight up because he said he was too valuable and didn't want to risk him. So those were the two runs, and the first run was on a very heavy track. Remember that?
Yeah,
and,
totally.
Very messy race.
That's why many people are saying there was two of him, but yeah, there was excuses, and they protected him, and they've been rewarded because late in the season he's been able to continue on with his Group 1 glory. So we look forward to sons and daughters of him into the future. Let's have a look at the Melbourne Cup and what a race it was. And Shane, I'd love your assessment. There's been a lot of chatter about the race. First, let's concentrate on the winner. For Shaker Bade, this was huge. An investment in Australian racing and world racing will continue on the back of this. This horse has been magnificent, Hutch.
Oh, incredible. And this calendar year, defeated once early on, and, his year's been exceptional. This is a very important shot, this chopper shot, Shane.
Some ride from Mark Zara.
Unbelievable ride, boys. But watch this. If we can just stop it here, up here. Now, Joe is there.
That's Joe Maria up behind Mark Zara.
Mark Zara in the yellow, right? Just hold it there. Now, this is no criticism of Joe because it's a split second, right? It's not a bad ride or anything. But anyone who doesn't think this horse would have gone close, run that horse to half a length is kidding. He would have run him to half a length if he doesn't come out here. So he's looking ahead, and he's done the right thing following the horse to beat in What a Fight, right?
Yeah.
If he stays behind him, he gets the best run through. But he thinks, where's Mark going to go? Look at all the horses. So he says, I'm going to come out. And if you play it on a bit...
Hang on, can you just stop there for a sec, Shane? Just one quick question right there. If this was an Australian jockey, there is no chance he's getting off the back of Without a Fight.
Hang on. But
has Joe done the form and said that this is the right horse to follow?
I don't agree with that, because Joe's had a look at that split second with what Shane's saying. Joe's looking at Without a Fight and Mark Zara and going, well, where are you going? You've got a wall of horses in front of you and they're tiring. How are you going to get through?
Well, stop. Okay, that is a mistake. He the first time wasn't a mistake because he went to come out and then come back in. But here, if he stays inside the horse in front of him in the greyish colours, there's still a run, and he can come through, right, and follow What a Fight still. But he's already elected to come out. Now, have a look. There's horses there, and he's saying, where am I going to go now? So what he does, and he hasn't pushed the horse, he's got to come back and wait. He's still waiting, and now he's got to come back. Stop it.
So what's he lost now? 3 lengths? Yep.
A good 3 lengths.
Yep.
A good 3 lengths, right? But it's so difficult when there's not runs. It's a Melbourne Cup and you're looking. But if he stays on the back, I read a column by someone the other day. It cost him a neck, right? I don't know what videos he watches if that cost him a neck, right? That's cost him, Clint, what would you say? 2 to 3?
Look, he who knows where he finished. I'm with you. He probably goes about half length. Who knows? It's very subjective.
It's cost him 2.
But I think there's one very important thing. Hindsight, 2020 hindsight.
Yeah. Perfect science.
Yes, of course you're going to follow the eventual winner when you have another go. At the time, if we can go back and show it, at the time when he makes the move to get around him, He doesn't think that Mark Zara's going to jump over the top of all these horses.
Yeah.
What we need to be with this narrative, this is...
Pause there if we can.
Pause there. If we can just pause it there.
Yeah.
So Joe's looking at Zara. Where are you going? Look at the horses in front of you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So why would I follow you when you're running into a wall of horses and I might have the option to come out and go around? They've gone hard. They're coming back in your lap. There's as much an argument to say that Mark Zara will not get a run.
Yeah, that's a good
point. That is a feasible...
Now, Clint, I'm going to say something here. I totally agree with that, and I'm not disagreeing, right? And I've said that from the start with Joe. Like, I've got no criticism from Joe because it's a hard situation. The one thing I will say, which I used to do is, and I know Ryan does it and I do it, used to do it, sometimes you go out there and you live by the sword and die by the sword. And you say, right, and I've said this before, you follow that horse no matter what, right? And you don't care if you get beat. Now, I don't know whether I would have done it, but you're definitely looking for a run. I've got no criticism because it's a hard situation. And I still don't know whether he would have won the race or not, but he definitely gets within half a length of the length of that.
Look, it's a very simplistic view to say then a lot of people saying Slaughter. It's ridiculous. Because, as I said, there's the option in that half a second.
Yeah.
Zara all of a sudden might be held up, and I'll try and get to the outside and get around the tiring horses and win.
Yeah.
Yes, in retrospect, it was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah,
if he follows Mark through, who knows? I think he probably goes like Shane said, half length. Who knows? Maybe he wins. I don't know. But to say that he should have done that and in that split second, and I think it's just
the vision's incredible. I mean, this is the greatest view of any sort of race, isn't it? And it gives us. You know, we like watching Dodgem cars. I mean, but when you're actually living the moment that Shane knows better than anyone, you're living the moment, making split-second decisions at 60 k's an hour with your little foot in the irons and holding a leather strap.
And Shane, the plaudits, the story from that race is what a winning ride.
Yeah.
That was mind-blowingly sensational. That was unbelievable.
Sensational.
Yeah.
But Joe's ride was outstanding because he was in the right spot to win the race, as Mark was. If you know, they went so fast and all those horses on pace weakened, right? And they stopped and everything come from back because the way the pace was set up. Now, Joe, what happened to Joe not getting held up and not knowing where he was going? No, he knew where he was going. He was looking for the run. That's happened to me before in a Melbourne Cup on Tie the Knot. I was back last on the fence and I gambled and stayed inside and I couldn't get a run. Didn't matter where I went. He got out too late, got beat about 3 lengths running on. If I got out when I wanted to get out in that Melbourne Cup, I think he actually wins it.
Wow.
I've always said. So, you know, it just doesn't happen to Joe. It happened to me. It can happen to anyone. And yet other years, I rode Emily Grove, who was 30 lengths last behind Maiden Year one year. Go and have a look at that ride.
Yeah.
At the furlong, I never left the fence. At the furlong, I'm 2 lengths behind on the fence, Maiden Power, and I just didn't run 2 miles. And I come from 30 lengths last and never went around a horse. Some years they open up, other years they don't. But there's been lots of Melbourne Cups, Richo, where they open up and they stay on the fence and winners come.
I think just to put a full stop on it, though, I mean, it's feasible to do what he did. And in retrospect, we know that it was if he follows the winner through, great. But I don't think the decision that he made at that point of the race was a bad one necessarily.
He played the percentages.
I don't
either,
Clint.
The percentages, and you don't blame him for that. Well, let's add a little bit of more star power to the show. Luke Ferraris. Well, our star power guest had 35 winners last season and he's building his form profile beautifully at the moment, already with 8 winners. Luke Ferraris joins us. Luke, as always, great to catch up and well done. You've had a nice start to the season with limited opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pretty good start so far. As you said, the limited opportunities, but we've been able to capitalise on a few. So, happy with the way things are going so far.
Yeah, and Luke, I mean, they really, once again, I was just looking at your stats prior to doing the show, actually. I mean, you're regularly beating the market expectation and your profit on turnover. I know that's a little bit sort of technical from this year, but you really are getting it done, with horses that aren't fancied in the market. Have you Have you found it hard to sort of springboard off the back of last season? I mean, 35 winners is a good season. So what's been tough this year to try and expand on that?
The toughest part was probably sort of keeping the momentum going. Because I'd sort of ride a couple winners and the momentum never really seemed to build. So that's probably been the toughest, is sort of just keeping the good competitive rides coming in and staying on the horses you want to be on.
Shane, he's 8 from 83 at the moment. It's a good strike rate considering the opportunity he's got, the quality of horse flesh.
He's going really well. As I said on the show last year, he went 2 years ago, I think, 20 winners the first season. Then he went 35, so it was a big increase. And what people have to remember is, I said on the show a while ago, Luke was 22, and I got a text from someone saying, "No, I'm not. I'm only 21." It's a pretty good. It's a pretty good record and achievement for someone who's only 21. And you come when you're 18, and people just don't go from overseas to Hong Kong at that age, do they, Luke?
I think Michael Walker was the only other jockey to come at. He came at 18. I arrived when I was 19.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think if you just persevere, it's a bit like a Zach, right? Zach struggled, and then he just went a bit better. And I think it was about the 4th year, wasn't it, Clint? Around that?
Yeah, I think
about
so.
4 years. 4.
Yeah, once he got
and then he had he just built, and he figured out Hong Kong, and he dominated then. But it took him, like 4 or 5 years to really get going. And same as Brett Preble. Brett Preble was going home, couldn't get a ride and struggled, but you are getting rides. You're not getting good rides. And I don't know why trainers don't give you good rides, because you're riding pretty well, I think.
Look, I mentioned you're beating the market expectations. So if you're supposed to ride 100 winners, you're riding 135, given the odds that your horses are going at. So
Wow.
you're doing a really good job. You're riding 35 on your performance of your last 100 rides. We've got your ride here on Happy Tree. You took a nice trail during the week, and that 3 wide line, and he responded nicely for you.
Yeah, he did. One thing I haven't been getting of late are good barriers, so it's been a bit tricky. But I think on the 8 course with 3 wide with cover is not a bad spot to be in. He was prepared superbly by Douglas, and he got the job done.
In terms of also, we mentioned about this season and getting momentum. I'm looking at the trainers that you ride for. You seem to have a reasonable spread of stables, and that's probably somewhat, I suppose, encouraging going forward, that at least you've got a nice array.
It's like you said, I've sort of spread myself out quite a bit, so that has helped. Hoping sort of to strengthen those relationships and build that support base. That's probably the main target this season. I think if I can build those support bases and get a couple more rides out of them, then I'll be going okay.
Good to have family in town, Luke.
Yeah, it is. Dad's enjoying the beer garden. He was.
Oh, here we go.
He wasn't excited, but yeah, Mum and Caroline love the racing, so they were ecstatic when he had a winner. So it's been a good couple of days.
And what is David doing these days, Luke? Is he based back in South Africa, retired and enjoying life, watching his son ride winners in Hong Kong, or what's David doing these days?
No, that's a perfect way to sum him up. He's enjoying retirement. He's making the most out of it, that's for sure. But he's loving life. Got a lovely spot back in South Africa, and Mum's got the dogs there, and I think they're really having a lot of fun.
That's brilliant. Luke, just looking ahead to your rides this weekend, there's one runner in particular that I wanted to discuss, a horse that seemed to trial pretty well, Smiling Collector. What were your thoughts on him?
He's tried up really well. I think he's probably his own worst enemy. He's got a bit of a tendency to over race, which is why he's come back to the 1400. But he's pretty tricky, because if he gets the right run in transit, he's competitive. But sort of getting that run, you can't fire him up too much out the gates, because otherwise he pulls, and when he pulls, he runs off the track. Did
you want to ride him ahead of Holy Lake, who also looks a pretty decent runner in the race? I know that you're on board him last time, and his effort was also pretty good. Did you have the option?
No, never. I didn't. I think Harry Bentley was on Holy Lake, and then all of that started to happen. So I was on Smiling Collector, but I think if he brings his trial form to the races, he's definitely in there with a shout.
He's not easy to ride, Smiling Collector, but on his trial and coming back 200 metres, he's definitely got a chance because his 2 runs so far haven't been too bad. The other day just pulled too hard and was weak late. The first race, you're on a horse who's had 2,000-metre trials and he hasn't gone too bad in behind. You haven't really tested him. What's your opinion of him?
Yeah, the Absolute.
Yeah, he's a nice horse. He's still a colt, which is maybe the concern because he's not a small horse. He's a pretty big fella, but his trials have been good. He is a nice horse.
It's a hard gate 13.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to go forward and do it tough on both ends. So he's going to need a lot of luck in running, but he is a nice horse.
And Luke, outside of that, in the feature race, the Panasonic Cup, you've had a good association actually with Silvestre. The pace of the race might be sort of left up to you. Is that the way you read him? And what do you think of his chances?
I wouldn't mind if it was left up to me. When he gets to the front, he does prick his ears and switch off. And he has won from sitting second, so he's a bit versatile in that sense. He does have a nice galloping weight on his back. He's usually carrying 130 plus all the time, so to have 122 will be an advantage to him, especially the way he runs. And I thought his run last time was creditable. He did have to work overtime to get to the front, and still was in the frame at the finish. So I'm definitely quite excited about him. I think Sylvester probably be the most exciting. He's a showing the big one.
You've got the Absolute's
a nice horse. He's just got a sticky draw.
You've got 7 rides, but they're not great rides. They're just rides. If you can somehow get those better rides, I don't know whether it's marketing yourself every morning at track work and hanging around and talking to every trainer or what, because the way you're riding and your ability and what you've done, you should be getting better rides, and that's honest.
Well, I've got about, I think 7, for the weekend. So I'm getting the rides, but like you say, it's probably the quality that I'd like to improve on.
Yeah, and 20.
Now, you rode a double for Mark Newman. How are you going with Mark? And they were both very good rides last time, and they both won. You made the right decision on Mission Impossible to take a sit. And this horse here, he can win again. There's no risk about that. That's all ready.
Mark he's only really starting to get up and running now. Those two have tried again this morning, so they're going back in, I think, on the 3rd. They'll be running again. Mark doesn't have that many runners. The ones that he does have coming through are running competitively, and I'm getting on them. So it'll be exciting to see his new horses, his PPGs and new PPs that have come into his yard to see how they come through and how they go.
Well,
If I was you, I would be hassling him every day of the week. I wouldn't stop hassling him.
I'm trying.
Going to his stables, looking at the horses, and whatever you can do, you should be doing.
Well, 20 winners in year 1, 35 last year. Luke, wish him all the best, Richard, I think, and hopefully if you can improve on that, you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely, Luke. Mate, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy your family being in town, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
So
luck,
the
Luke.
star power guest.
Dad, please.
Yeah, we pass on the best to the family is Luke Ferraris. Racing at Sha Tin on Saturday, which complements the Champions Day in Melbourne as well. So it's going to be a huge day, of course. Let's start with race number 7 here. Hutch, what are you thinking?
The Panasonic Cup. It's generally a really good race, Richo. My on top selection is a horse resuming, Tuchel, and Johnny Size has gone to Hugh Bowman for the ride. He's had a few trials. Looks well. I've marked him favourite narrowly over Circuit Stella, who is race fit and has Zach Purton and can land on speed. And Red Line, another one from John Size's yard that is fresh up as well. Look, Circuit Stella's going to be popular, Shane. He's race fit. He's back to 1400, which is arguably better for him.
Yeah, look, there's 8 runners here and they're all going well. Even Find My Love, forget his last run. He couldn't win where he was. I think it's a pretty open race. This is the race you're talking about where most of them run in. I thought Dancing Code run very well. got back, didn't get a lot of room, and kept coming in the straight. I think he could be very hard to beat in this race, Clint, with 115, gate 3. He's going to race closer. And there doesn't seem to be an overabundance of pace with Sylvester and Circuit Stella going, you would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I
Both
think that's
them?
a possibility. I'm not with Dancing Code. For me, he hasn't really put up the numbers just yet. But a lot of these lightweights, Atala Begil, Dancing Code, they do get a lot of weight off their rivals. But I just don't think they have the class of the top horses at the top. And when I looked at Tuchel's recent trial, I thought you're pretty close to where you need to be. And he is a classy galloper. And I don't think he'll be giving away too much of a start. Even if there isn't much speed, he can be 1-1 and maybe even outside leader if Zach decides to go forward or doesn't sort of press the issue too much. But yeah, it's a potentially slowly run race, but Tuchel had the right sort of form last year. He can carry weight, and I liked his trial.
He's never gone bad, Clint, and he did win first up last year over 1,400. He's had the 3 1,200-metre trials, and they've all been good. I can see and understand why you think he win, and he could win. I think anything can win this, and he can. But I think at the odds, Dancing Code, gate 3, 115, he gets his chance to go better in this race.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. So, Matty Chadwick for Casper Founds. Can we fast forward to race number 9 here? So we go from 1,400 metres back to the 1,200, go to class 3 here in a bigger field.
Yeah, my on-top selection in this race is a horse that has also gone really well in a recent trial and did win first up this season, a horse by the name of Module Construction. I've got him marked a clear favourite, around $3. If anything, I might shorten him in a touch. Super Fortune will go forward, run well. Champion Method, another one I could potentially tighten because he's improving. He drops in weight. I've got him around $10 at the moment. He just hasn't really posted a great time. But this was what he's done, Shane, Champion Method, in 2 starts is be headed and fight back. So I think he's just one of those horses that, can fly under the radar a little bit. He does enough to win and he wants to win.
Yeah, no doubt. He'll be forward. He's going good. He's had 2 starts, 2 wins. The funny thing about this race, Clint, is there's not many chances. You can rule most of these out in this race. I've got the horse you've got on top, the 4. I'm not even going to pronounce it. I'll let you do that.
Module Construction.
Good boy. That'll do. I'll go 4 from the 12, Champion Method. And, of course, Super Fortune should get a soft lead, you would think. And he's racing well. Didn't trial very good the other day, though, but he can do that on the dirt in the trials. But his first up run was good. He's going to run a race, but definitely what you've got on top, I've got on top.
Yeah, Module Construction. From there, I expect Lyle Hewitson or Bounce probably be leaders back in the run. Richo, I mean, he won't want to lead, but he was very good for Vincent. Of course, that was first up behind Dragon's Luck, who I thought, unfortunately, I think he's been retired since then. But yeah. It's a handy little race. Might be a good value chance in that as well, near the top of the weights. We'll talk more about that another time.
Yeah, that's right. HutchiesHonkers.com might be when we start to reveal that. Hey, just quickly also, some Australian punters, some world punters watching this show will be saying, why are we racing on a Saturday instead of Sunday?
Well, normally they have 3 Sundays a month and then one weekend they'll have on a Saturday. So
there's no celebration or anything from a holiday point of view?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. So we move to race number 10 and we move out to the 1,400 metres. We stay at Class 3 and you like the Joyful one.
Yeah, I do like Joyful Hunter. I'm just the jury's out for a little bit with me and I've got him a relatively long price favourite. I think the market might be more behind him because there's something in the back of my mind, and I'll ask Shane in a moment about him over 1,400. Ka Ying Chia will go forward. He's racing well. The drop in weight's a big plus for him. He worked hard last start. I could bring him in a little bit. And Super Winner's a horse that will go forward, as he did on this occasion, and run well. Shane, Joyful Winner. Did he loom and peak on his run here? Does the 1,400 see him out?
I think he'll run the 1,400. He's still come home in 22.59. He's had 4 starts and he's run 22s every time. So he's hitting the line. I've got him on top, but he won't be $4.60, Clint. I think he'll be closer to $2.83 myself.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think he could. Gate 3, Clint, he's going to get a lovely run with Lyle on him.
Yep.
He's the horse to beat. There's a few chances that are going all right. There's a lot of horses like Flying Majito ran very well and never goes bad. He's coming back and he's first up. He's had 2 trials and his trials have been okay. They haven't been too bad. And Super Winner is on a different level at present. He's flying, and he hasn't gone bad. He'll lead. Now, Ka Ying Chair, gate 2, do they lead and let Super Winner go, or do they take a sit on him and ride him third fence? He's had no options because of his wide gates, and he's had to go. This is the first race he's been in where he'll be able to give him a chance and take a sit. And his 2 runs have been good too, Clint.
They have. What you've got to weigh up in this race is Joyful Hunter's got the best ratings. He's got the best figures. He gets a very good run. I just had a little query about that, but that's my early rated price. I might bring him in a little bit, but I feel like the horse that I definitely will be playing will be Ka Ying Chair in the race, because I think he will take a sit behind Super Winner. I think he'll get first crack, and with no weight on his back, if Joyful Hunter comes up short, I'll be happy to be backing Ka Ying Chair.
Can you run the G1 Goldmine lens over Red Acclaim, who we get to see?
Yeah, an interesting runner, Red Acclaim, of course, and this is a horse that had won 2 of 4 in the UK, and a couple of those wins were on the Tapeta, and I noticed that he actually trialled okay. The profile's saying 1,600 metres, 14-16, maybe gets a touch further. He's by a claim out of a mare by Oasis Dream. So there's a bit of speed in the pedigree, but it's suggesting to us that wait till he gets sort of up to the mile. So 1,400 first up. The way he trialled, Shane, I thought he might be a horse that'll probably benefit from the run, and we'll look for a second or third up.
Yep, no doubt. I don't look at breeding. That's not my go, Clint. I can't help you.
Well, I reckon if those horses, if you're saying from a breeding point of view and also its form profile says a mile, I actually like 14 as a kick-off point as opposed to gassing them at 12.
John Size will generally, the way that I read him with this horse, he must think he gets even further, because John's happy to go 1,200 first up with them, even if they are milers, and he'll give them a couple of runs over that shorter distance, but he's going straight to 14.
Okay, like the sound of that. Let's have a look at our very best bets. We start with you, Hutch Buster. Where do we start, and are we chips in on it?
This is, I really am very keen on this horse. I think he'll be extremely hard to beat. Aestheticism. It's extremely unlucky the other day. He got
extremely hard to say.
Yep, he got held up badly. Probably should have won, and we'll hopefully get even luck in running. I love the backup. A lot of punters do. So if he gets luck in running, and he should from gate 4, it makes Zach's job easier. Mr. Dapper's got a good chance for the Quinella. Northern Beast was another one that was unlucky for Hugh Bowman. He was also held up last start. Joyful Hunter, I've got him on top for the win, but I want to have some Quinellas with Ka Ying Chair, of course, and Super Winner, and that could change on the day depending on where their market is with them. But at this point in time, Joyful Hunter looks the one to beat.
Okay, I like the sound of that. RS, you cast your eye over it. Have you got one?
I'll go race 5, Beauty Fit. John's horses are just starting to improve. He's got gate 2. He's going to a mile, and of course he has raced well over a mile before, even though he won over 1,400, I think. And there's not many chances in the race. Zach's ride, Master of Fortune, will run well, you would think. And he has won over a mile, of course, Beauty Fit. But his last run was a lot better, Clint, and he's in a race where there's not many chances.
Yeah, definitely. Really powered through the line. He looks a nice chance. You're right about John Sizey. We knew it would just be a matter of time, Shane, but they're all starting to run a lot better now.
Yes, and the worry is no one got away from him for other trainers. Like, I know he's 10 wins behind or something.
10 off the lead, you're right.
But it's not many. They needed to get 15, 20 wins away from him early on when he's had such a slow start, and they just haven't got it. So it looks like he's going to be right there at the end of the season. He'll pick these 10 up in no time.
A little click of the heels, there's no place like home, and off he'll come over the top. As always, Golden Boy, an absolute pleasure, mate. Great show.
Thank you. I've been watching your coverage and it's been fantastic. As normal, Richo, you do a great job on TV.
Don't tell him that, Shane.
Shush, mate. Don't mute his mic, will you? Thank you, Golden. Good luck this weekend. Hutchi's Honkers, of course. Jump online there. Download all the form and all the suggestions from you, Hutch.
Yeah, and we're not too far away as well, Richo, from I think the trials, international trial races are all coming up within the next couple of weeks. So it's time to get excited.
And are you ready to announce to our international audience of anyone that you know that might be there for the international meeting in December?
We will be there too. We are coming.
Okay.
The Triple Trio.
So send us a message if you'd like to catch up with us. I'm sure Hutch would be available. Maybe Shane at a big price, but Hutch will be available and I'll come with him. Thanks for watching the Triple Trio. We look forward to your company next week.